order the December 11th meeting of the Conestoga Valley School Board. I want to welcome all of you that are here, as well as those that are joining us online. And will you please join me to the pledge of the flag? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Martin, may we have attendance, please?
We have 6 directors present tonight. Absent is Ms. Trowbridge, Mr. Hurst, and Mr. Talley.
And we also have here in attendance the superintendent and the administrative cabinet. This is our second meeting of the month, where we always do most of the voting, although we didn't have anything to carry over from our organizational meeting. It includes a consent agenda that is basically made up of routine items and items that we're familiar with already. That said, are there any changes, additions, or deletions for the agenda? None. I would take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? I'd also note for the public that the agenda and whatever detail can be published is published on our website. We will start with board commendations. Sit back, this is going to take a little bit. Congratulations to Ms. Hannah Newman's 5th grade class at Loyola for winning the 2023 Learning A to Z Start Donation Challenge. They were the Pennsylvania winning classroom. From October 9th to November 3rd, Learning A to Z students across the globe embarked on a journey to not only expand their knowledge by reading books and completing activities learning A to Z, but also extend a helping hand to those in need by donating their hard-earned stars towards healthy meals, clean water, and school supplies for communities around the world. Students demonstrated the incredible impact that the collective effort could have on the lives of others. Top classrooms from all 50 states in D.C., as well as in 5 different countries, were recognized. Congratulations to the 2023 CV football team. Following a 9-win 2023 campaign that included a win in the district playoffs, the Conestoga Valley High School football team reeled in an impressive number of postseason awards from the Lancaster Lebanon Quarterback Club. Congratulations to head coach Jonathan Skapansky, who was named the Section 2 Coach of the Year in just his 2nd year with the Buckskins. In addition, several CV players received mayor awards. Soren Stoltzfus was named both the Section 2 Outstanding Lineman and Offensive Lineman of the Year. Jaden Johnson was named the Co-Offensive Back of the Year. Seth Morgan was tabbed the Linebacker of the Year. Additional Section 2 award winners were Jaden Stoltzfus, Tal Stoltzfus, and Soren Stoltzfus. Jaden Johnson, Tal Stoltzfus, and Soren Stoltzfus for first team. Liam Cheek, Achilles Mobley, Kyle Jankowski, Dominic Epstein, and Justin Corson, 2nd team. Soren Stoltzfus, Shymar Hernandez, Seth Morgan, Isaiah Sensing, 1st team. Justin Corson, Brett Schneider, 2nd team. Honorable mention were Cameron Zoll, Tal Stoltzfus, Isaiah Dentel, and Kyle Jankowski. Congratulations to Conestoga Valley High School girls cross country senior Shiona Dougherty, who was named a Lancaster Lebanon League All-Star. She was also named to Section 2 team following the conclusion of the cross-country season. In addition, junior Carson Miller of the boys team was named the LL Courageous Runner Award. And thank you to everyone who made the delivery of the CV's Freight Farm on December 4 a success. The Freight Farm was made possible from a grant from CVEF, the largest grant in the Foundation's history. And a big round of applause to everyone involved in planning and executing the annual Golden Citizen Holiday Breakfast on December 5th. We had a great turnout, including Santa Claus, and it was a true community event. Thank you all. Superintendent's comments.
Good evening.
Excited this evening to introduce two new buckskins to our team that we have with us. First, I'd like to introduce Caitlin Kirby. Hi, Caitlin. Caitlin's been with us for the entire year, but wasn't able to make it to a board meeting, so she's not just being approved. She's been here for the year, but this is her first time being formally introduced to the board. She's currently a third grade long-term substitute at Fritz. She spent some time here last year with us student teaching, I believe at Leola.
Yeah, I was at Leola with Allison Blanchard.
Yes, yeah, so she student taught, was familiar to us, and also did some substituting for us. So Caitlin has her bachelor's in early childhood from Lancaster Bible College. She also has some experience while she was in college working in childcare and also doing some substitute teaching. So she's been here all year, doing a great job at Fritz, and we're happy she's with us. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you, excited to join the team.
So next we have Courtney Costello. Courtney is a CV resident and parent, but has spent the last 21 years teaching special ed in the Penn Manor School District. So we were able to get her to come over to this side and join us now since she lives here. She has a bachelor's in elementary and special education from Millersville, also a master's degree in language and literacy, and her reading specialist certificate from Millersville. She's been a local involved parent in the community for quite a few years, volunteering in PTOs at Smoketown and at the middle school, and has also done some volunteering with Seeds. So well known to our community already, but now joining us as part of our teaching staff. So welcome, Courtney. Other than that, just please note the other approvals that are in my superintendent's report this evening. And this being our last meeting before the winter break, want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year. That concludes my report.
And we welcome the new members. Can I just ask one question that's in your superintendent's report? The externship placement. Could you explain how that works from Westchester?
The externships
Yes.
or the student teachers?
Well, no, student externship placement for speech language pathology master's degree students.
So that would be an internship for their professional certificate, similar to student teaching, only if you're going for your
okay.
speech and language path.
Okay,
Yeah.
I understand, thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any board comments on recent activity?
The holiday concert at the high school was great. All three ensembles, orchestra, choir, band, and then they did a joint number at the end that was really great. So it was just cool to see how many CV parents and families show up to watch that. Always really cool to see the support from parents for our music kids. And then I was also gonna say the senior citizen breakfast was a nice event. Just need more.
Yeah, this is something I think we need to work on. We need to get the word out about Gold Coast.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that were there that I spoke to just found out about it in the last year, and they've been 65 for a few years.
Yeah. And I think a special thank you needs to go out to all the students who helped, because all of our senior citizens were served by students from, I think, the middle school and the high school. It's just really, really cool,
I think
and all of them
it's middle
smiling
school.
faces and bright.
The CV cares, is that what they call themselves at the middle
I
school?
think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just really neat.
Mrs. Fisher comes back every year
Mhm.
to cover that.
Yeah, really great event.
Yeah. I'd also like to add that our community social service groups, CV, CSS, and SEEDS were there to promote volunteerism in the district, which is important. I also think it's great that we got the freight farm in place. It was too cold for me to stand out there forever and watch it come down. I understand it took a while to get it in place, but I'm anxious for the pad to be done so we can actually take a look inside. Anyone else?
I'd just like to say piggyback on the band orchestra, the elementary band orchestra concert is tomorrow night at 7:00 here at the high school, so a lot of hot cross buns. I'll be there as a parent, so I'll probably see some others there, so.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, Mrs. Martin, do we have any correspondence?
We do not.
None this time. Then we have a report from the Buxton's Activities Alliance, Mrs. Myers. Yes, she wants company.
Yeah. Do you do my things or does my? Okay,
You can let me know if you wanna, whenever you
go ahead.
wanna go to the next slide.
Well, I'm Shelley Myers, I'm the president. Yeah, I guess I should introduce myself. This is my second year of it. We're really trying this year and last year to bring the knowledge of BAA and what we are and who we are to the entire school district. There is a lot of parents and families who have no idea who we are or what we do, so we're trying to change that. So, because we do a lot.
And I also want to say hi, I'm Dina Henry, I'm the athletic director for the new members who may not know me.
So that's our purpose. You went too fast for me, sorry.
Sorry.
No, you're okay. What we do, we support the extracurricular activities and sports in different ways of funding through grants of things that they may need as booster clubs that they can't maybe afford on their own as booster clubs or get that fundraising up to where they need to do that. Mainly bigger projects sometimes seems to be our grants, except this time, they were lower for this time. But just to help offset tax dollars and keep things rolling through fundraising efforts that we can do. We do get a portion of the participation fee that's paid from all of the activities listed there. We do have a line item for that. And we sort of changed a little bit of the structure this past school year. It was originally made up of 6 and 6, and now we do a voting member with one person from every club. That way everybody has a voice and we don't have to worry if, is it your turn? Is it their turn? Whose turn is it? So we have everybody represented at one time. We have Mrs. Henry's on the board with us at the meetings, and then Dr. Hartman comes to the meetings, and then Phil used to come, but now we need somebody else to come and join us at the meetings to give us school board updates, which I see down later. But
So I guess at that point, when do you meet? I've been asked that.
we meet the first Monday of the month. Unless something really major is happening, we will move it to that Tuesday or sometimes a Wednesday, but mainly a Monday.
And what time?
7 o'clock, right across in the LGI.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The only time that we have off is July. We meet every month other than that. That's our board so far, myself and Angie McFarland, and then Shannon Salva is our secretary. So this was some of our fundraisers. I've added some in there. I wasn't sure what you really wanted to know as the staple, but we did the Harlem Wizards in February. We brought that back. It's the first time we did it in CV since the last time I did it in 2018. And we had over 1,100 people attend that night over in the Real. It was really, really great. They keep calling to see when we're doing it again. Back to school night, we added back in this year. We haven't done that since 2018. So we put that back in this year. We're gonna actually change it this coming school year. We're gonna do it on a Saturday night this year. 2024, I guess it would be 2024. The consensus seems to be doing it on Wednesday nights. May not always work with sports, and a lot of kids are missing out and families are just busy. So we got first dibs this year for a date. So I chose the 14th, and we agreed and voted on that at a meeting. So it'll be September 14th. So it's a Saturday night. It's a firework night. So hopefully a little bit of extra draw, and we can get the band and everybody there this year. So craft show was a phenomenal hit this year. Mrs. Henry challenged me at last year's fall craft show to have it overflow into the hallway and to fill the UADA. Mission accomplished. We had the largest show here. We had 114 vendors, and we raised over $6,500 from that. So that was very, very well attended. I love a challenge. So, but no more
And I
challenges.
learned that, so I took advantage of it.
The Fall Classic was the same weekend, which always helps. We actually reached out to them this year, and they shared the event on their side as well, and the food trucks, so the food trucks did phenomenal. They were very happy or excited to come back. We're gonna table the elimination dinner in 2024. For right now, it is a lot of work to pull off. And we wanted to try something different to see if the revenue that we make for the elimination dinner, because it's been dwindling from year to year, if we could try something new. We did, and that would be the Yeti Bingo. And we had 400 people in the Rill last Sunday, or no, that was girls' basketball. When did we do it? November 12th. It was the same
the day
weekend as the
after.
craft show.
It was- yeah, oh my gosh.
I spent the weekend
Our
here.
minds are spinning.
But we had 400 people in there from all over. We had people from Virginia, Delaware, New Jersey. We had everywhere. And we successfully cleared over 27,000 from the Yeti Bingo. So we don't need the elimination dinner this year. Lot less work. I mean, it was a lot of work, but it was a lot less than what we need to do for that. So we're gonna try to see what we can come up with in the spring. And then, of course, we always have the Relay for Life, and we get little things like the lights from the tennis courts and things like that. So the Yeti Bingo has been well attended, and I still get emails asking if we're gonna do another one, so we'll see. We'll see. We do get, as I said earlier, part of the student participation, that's kind of the breakdown. I'd have to ask Adele if that's still true. That's still true.
That's the breakdown?
Yeah, so that's where we get some of our funding as well. And there's from the lunches and the tennis courts, facility rentals, we get a percentage of, and then any fundraisers that Mrs. Henry puts out for apparel and things like that. And I just put on there some little facts of fundraising that we have done. That was our total in 2020, post-COVID. The elimination dinner had brought in 57,000, which would have been one of the larger ones of the time. And then 2022 school year, we brought in 65,000, and you can see the elimination dinner pretty much went in half. And then 2023 last year, we brought in 41,000, and the elimination dinner in March was 16,000. But so far,
19, 20, because I don't think we didn't have the elimination.
well, it was
Oh,
after,
still within the same.
yeah, it was still into that same time frame. And then August, so far, from the beginning of the school year, we've raised 37,000, and Yeti Bingo was 27,000 of that. So in all, we've done over $650,000 in projects for the school district since its inception. So that's little bit of what we've done in the past few years, way more than that over the time, and we plan to add to that. So I think that might be it. And that was just a couple little things from the clubs that have gotten grants in the past. I think there's just a couple of them in there. Any questions?
You had, was personal mics for the drum, was that a recent one?
That was last spring.
Yeah.
We did.
I wanted to say, and because obviously I know that you guys touch many of these, and I don't have experience with all of them, but having the play just happen,
Yeah.
it was very nice for the kids who work so hard to memorize lines to come out and their mic works. So that was
We
great.
heard it was really good. They
Now
were
we
really
just gotta get
excited.
that sound system in that building one day, which we will, but
I'll
that
have
was
to do a
always
lot
like,
of Yeti bingos.
yeah.
We'll
With
work on
CD,
it.
it's always been tough to watch a kid who's like, they're memorizing all this stuff and they come out and nobody can hear them.
Yeah.
So for that was it's really cool to see.
Yeah, they
that.
got a couple of they had 2 different grants last year.
Yeah.
They got one for the wireless, and then there was
Yeah.
another type of microphone that they used as
Yeah.
well. So they
Good.
They had
That makes
to.
me happy.
Yeah.
It's cool to see it in action. so
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
You mentioned you changed your voting group.
We
Was
did.
that a bylaw change?
We did.
I said, you need to bring that to us.
We did.
Oh, did you? I don't remember that.
That was in June. Yeah,
Oh, back in June.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
back
I
then.
didn't remember it. Just wanted to make sure we all had everything.
we did. Yeah,
Everything laid out.
yeah, we
Any
brought
other
that.
questions? If not, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great job.
Thanks.
And I'm not sure how to promote it. I'm sure the Buckets and Blast possibly could help.
We do. I started going to some of the Booster Club meetings from
Yes.
different sports. The the struggle is I work second shift, so I try to work it around when I can, I mean,
Well,
I
maybe
live in the
some of
place, I
the
can leave when I
officers
go,
could help.
but,
And you also have a kid that you're trying to
Help
watch.
spread out.
I do.
and-
Well, Katie Odell does a great job of
Yes.
getting the word out for all of our
yeah,
activities.
she helps
does a
me
great
a
job.
lot. I appreciate her a lot, so.
And I will say that I commend Shelley, all that money that we made so far. She's just phenomenal, and the
thanks.
time and dedication that she puts in, I mean, she just works tirelessly, and she constantly is saying like, it's for the kids, it's for the kids, it's for the kids, and no matter what frustrations she has over all of this, it's always, it's for the kids, it's for the kids, it's for the kids, and so I just wanna say how grateful I am to, have a workhorse like her, next to me, because she really does such a great job, and, I mean, she'll be texting me at 11 o'clock, are you up? And I'll get an email that like the next morning I'll wake up and there will be an email from her that's timed at 2 a.m. and I'm just like, oh my God, do you ever sleep? So I don't want her to be up all night doing BAA stuff, but it just goes to show she's
No, I
extremely dedicated.
understand.
And this is all voluntary, so
I
that to
send
me
3
is.
o'clock emails too.
Third shift delivery nurse, so
Yeah,
it's just my
I
body.
don't expect an answer, but at least you got it done.
Yeah, sometimes Ken does answer me. Sometimes Ken does answer. I'm like, oh, you're awake too, great.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I just wanted
Any
to.
other questions? If not, thank you so much for
Thank
all
you.
you
Yeah,
do
you're welcome.
for the kids. Next on the agenda is the SRO report, Officer Werner and Zollner. Welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, good evening. My name is Officer John Warner, and thank you for my new partner. This is Officer Zollner. This is his first year in the SRO program. It's just a little bit about myself. This is what I'm bringing to the table. That number is correct. I've been here for 25 years as an East Lampeter police officer, and I'm the only SRO that came back for a second tour. We can go to the next one.
And I'm Officer Nick Zollner. Unfortunately, my list of accolades is not as long, but I am working on it.
He's a quick study. We're gonna break down our program into 3 different sections: activities, incidents, and what we do for school safety. This is not an exhaustive list, but these are some of the things that we do to help out at the school. When we go through the basic program to become a school resource officer, it's basically a triad that we try to emulate. That it's not only being a law enforcement officer, but to be a mentor and an educator in the building, to be able to provide some law enforcement education and to be an extra set of eyes and an extra an adult that can reach out to the kids at the school. So there's some pictures of some of the things that we've done. Again, this is not an exhaustive list of some of the incidents that we handle here on campus, but part of our function here as school resource officers is to handle some of the incidents here that occur on campus. It makes it a little nicer for the staff that they're familiar with us, and they're a little more familiar with, they feel a little more comfortable coming to us with some of the incidents. And you're not just getting someone that's coming off the street that has no relationship with the school. This is a bar graph of the incidents by school compared to arrests for the school year 2021 to 22 and 22 to 23. The numbers, incidents and arrests are up on the right-hand side. This graph is for the high school. This is for the middle school. As far as school safety goes, I'm not sure if anybody had a chance to see the frontline presentation on Uvalde. I just happened to catch it myself last night. Officer Zollner and I are going through extensive active shooter training. We certainly are not going to wait around and wonder if this is something that could happen here. We're going to train like it's a possibility that could happen at any time, and we're getting the reps in. I'm also an ALICE certified instructor. We do what we can to make sure that the building is safe and each building in the district is safe and secure. I work very closely with Matt Fox. We're glad to have him back on board, and It's really been a blessing here for the district. That's the best way to get a hold of each of us. Officers, owners assigned to the middle and elementary schools. I'm assigned to the high school full-time. Any questions?
What's the biggest change you've seen in the last few years?
And there's a lot more incidents involving technology. The kids are so involved in social media that you probably see it more than I do, but since the middle school has instituted that there's not to be any use of cell phones, smartphones during the school day, it's really reduced our workload.
I was gonna comment on that. That's made a huge difference in a positive way.
Oh, good. Good. Any other questions? Thank you. We love having you in the district as part of, the work for our kids. Very much so.
Thank
We're
you.
glad you stuck it out.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Are there any comments from CBEA? Or other employee groups? Any comments from the public about something that's on our agenda this evening? If not, we'll move on to the consent agenda, items A through J. Are there any questions on any of those items? If not, I'll take a motion. I really will take a motion. From anybody.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was supposed to be a roll call vote.
Dr. Martin?
Aye.
Mrs. Fisher?
Aye.
Mrs. Kapka?
Aye.
Mr. Gensel?
Aye.
Mr. Eby?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye. Action discussion agenda, change orders for Smoketown Elementary. Mr. Peters?
Good evening. Good to see everybody tonight. There are two on the agenda tonight. So the first pulled up there's costs associated with replacement of galvanized pipe. These are both at Smoketown. There was most of the galvanized pipe was called to be replaced. There was a section from the cafeteria up towards the auditorium that was not, and when they re-energized the piping, they found pinhole leaks. So good to find it now, but after that, this is the change order to replace the remainder of the galvanized pipe in that section, so there won't be any issues down the road. That's a little over 13. And then the other one, there's two pieces in this. This is for the general contractor. The first one is we had specified a motor on the rolling door at the cafeteria, between the cafeteria and the kitchen. They were unable to apply the motor to the manual door. It was just not something they could achieve. So this is to replace the door totally. It's a little more expensive than maybe you might expect because it's motorized and it's a fire door as well. So that's a whole new door rather than reusing the existing door and putting a new motor on it. And then the second part of this change order, there was some ductwork designed to go to RTU 11 and then a little bit to actually RTU 10 as well, I think. It's really tight in the existing space, and the mechanical contractor noted it was pretty difficult to install, and actually, more importantly, going to be difficult to maybe maintain in that existing space for Ken and his crew. So as a result, the mechanical designer redesigned the routing for the ductwork, and the result for the GC here is some additional work with the roof deck to go from the duct up to the rooftop unit. So flashing, curb, blocking, some other roofing. So that's the second piece of this tonight. And that's all the change orders. Any questions on those?
Were they able to return the motor that wouldn't work with the manual door?
Yeah, the motor, I think this 9,000, the backup has a credit to take. I think the door is actually more than that. It might be like 11,000, and the motor was credited back. So they were able to do that, yeah.
Any
Any other
questions?
questions?
We need to approve these change orders.
Motion to approve the 2 change orders as presented.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Fisher,
Aye.
Mrs. Kapka,
Aye.
Mr. Gensel,
Aye.
Mr. Eby,
Aye.
Dr. Martin,
Aye.
Mrs. Brock.
Aye. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
We're into details of the budget preview. I don't know who's going first, Dr. Mann or Mr. Johnson. You can fight over who comes up first. You won, huh? Or you lost? No,
He flinched, so I took off. Well, good evening, everyone. I am stepping in for Mr. Appleby, and so what I'm going to share with you is the Technology Services Project Report and then budget information as well. All right? I'm not going to pretend that I know all this information, so we'll pretend not to ask me any questions. So beginning with looking at major projects that the IT department's worked on, the SIS migration has been a major lift, and it's continuing, and it will continue for a while to go through the whole process of verifying data and updating data, and there are things that that'll be coming up that we haven't done yet, and for example, like scheduling. So there's going to be a learning curve there, and there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done to make sure that it's sitting in the right place, so to speak, so it works effectively. So a heavy lift on that. As far as the Crestron and so forth, I'll talk about that a little later. Other big things was the MacBooks at the elementary school, Fritz and Leola, and the last item there was approved actually just last week at the IU, and I'm told that this is going to somewhat be like a game changer as far as speed is concerned of the system. So once that fiber is put in, connecting all the buildings and the IU, that we will see a significant change. Can't speak to that any more than that. But I did ask any timeline, and our guys were not aware of a specific timeline for that. All right. This slide here, again, just kind of gives you a flavor of some of the things in the backbone of the system. So when you look at the just to say like gigabytes per second, so you're talking about speed there as well. The PoE, because I asked, I'm not sure what that is. It's power over Ethernet. So for example, when you push power through over Ethernet, like operates like a phone or something like that, so it's not the electrical power that's coming through as well. So they've expanded that. But you can see that as far as the various things with the backbone of the infrastructure and the work that they've done as far as making sure that the physical servers are in place and that the virtual servers are easy to spin up when needed and so forth. So from what I understand is that the backbone is pretty strong. And that, because I even asked, all right, we hooked the hot fiber up to the IU, but is it going to come in and slow down? And they said, no, we're set up for it. So I'm holding my fingers that'll all work well. This here, again, is just looking at over the course of the year, things that were done and so forth, things that are still outstanding. Again, looking at the new SIS, that's an ongoing process, and communicating with stakeholders for the transition of how that's going. So again, just more information there. More information there. The middle school has been another heavy lift for the IT department. Bringing that school online over the course of the year and a half is a lot. Those of you that were maybe toward the building when it was still opened up, so to speak, and saw all the wires, all the backbone stuff in it, it's amazing, the stuff that goes into a project like that. But for our IT guys, as far as part of the heavy lift was the installation of this and use of this new system called Crestron. What they look at here is I'm sorry, I've got to hit myself. You're looking at these upgraded standards over the Ethernet, so let me back up a second, sorry. They installed these fiber ports, which allows, again, for speed and accuracy. You see up here where it says fully redundant? What that means is if the power went off, the system over there will step up and stay on. And it must have happened a week or so ago where the power went off, but the internet, the webs kept going. Now, I said, well, how long did it last? It probably about a half hour to an hour. And it's designed to give you the backup so that you can shut stuff down safely, appropriately, rather than just these hard crashes. So when they say about that redundant system, a battery backup. And so when it comes back online, it then recharges itself and is ready for the next time it needs to be used, if it does. All right, here's a slide I jumped too early. So again, another heavy lift with the Crestron installation, and those of you that toured the building for the open house, you probably saw some of it in action throughout the building. The Crestron, in each of the learning spaces, they have a little touch panel. And the touch panel allows the teachers, the staff, to move between different presentations, whether it's web-based or not, however it's coming across. It allows for the quick, easy transition. Now, granted, there's a learning curve to that whole thing. When you get comfortable using it and so forth. So having the system working and working consistently and so forth, again, we're getting it in a really good place. And then just comfort, using it and looking for ways to utilize that. And as they start looking at more of doing activities with the walls open, that'll become more of a nice added piece because it'll allow for the communication throughout that whole pod. Again, Mr. Miller and the staff over there working with the TV studio has done a phenomenal job and continues to do a phenomenal job. But also you're seeing some of the technology at work there and how it's being pushed out over the system. It's very clean, clear, crisp. And they can also do live, I don't know what you call them, live shows or whatever at different places throughout the building because they have the equipment to do it. Which again, pretty cool experience for the kids. Now, budget-wise, this is not the entire budget. This is some of the big ticket items when you think about what's in play here. So we have been using the leasing our technology devices for some time now. And what that affords us to do is obviously, well, I should say obviously, allows us to put more technology in the hands of students and staff. Some of the benefits to that is that with the iPads, the system, the program that Apple sends along with that is that it allows you to get an iPad case that comes along with it, keyboard like you have there, something like that, as well as 2 free replacements. So like if a iPad was damaged, regardless of how it was damaged, they'll just replace it 2 times without any questions asked, which is really nice to have as a kind of an insurance type of thing. And that they look at also the support that goes along with that. And then at the end of these 4-year leases, we own them. They're our devices, and typically what's been happening with that is at the end of that, they will go through and look at the devices that can be salvaged, refurbished, and then we sell them. They go out on bid and then we sell them and obviously use that money back into the system. So when you're looking at that slide right there, down on the right-hand column there, it talks about 24-25, the lease, and the cost. It's obviously a big cost this upcoming year for this technology, for their budget. Like I said, there's more to that budget, but that's what was shared with me. When I say more to it, I mean, obviously there's ongoing services through the IU, the infrastructure, that keeps those things up and running, the servers, all those things is also part of that. Questions or comments? I don't know that I can answer many. questions, but I can get you answers.
At first, I thought we were watching these technology device costs. But I finally realized that these are all separate leases. So that's why, in any given year, we're paying a different step on each one.
Right, and so we onboard them at grades 1, 5, and 9, so they go for that 4-year then process through there. And so, right, depending on that,
Do we have a total budget figure for technology?
I can get that for you, yeah, absolutely.
I'll be sitting down when I get it, I promise.
Well, you know. No, yeah, actually I have last year's, but that's last year's.
Dream on. Are there any other questions?
Can you tell
Thank
me
you.
how they mount servers in the cabinets then? And tell me that, I'm just kidding, Don. No, I know Josh has been, I remember him talking about the upgrades to the infrastructure and the connectivity and talking about how we have all this great connectivity through the buildings, but we don't, nothing incoming is supporting that.
Right.
So now it sounds like it's, like his dream is coming into fruition of that super fast information share between everything coming back to the DO and then also back to the IU, which is great. So that's exciting to see that work now.
Was that a change on our part or a change on the IU's part?
I'm sorry?
Was that a change on our part or on the IU's part?
My understanding is it's both, because not all the districts are taking advantage of it.
Oh.
As what my impression of it.
Okay.
And so they're offering and we're participating
Yeah, I
in
know
it.
they have some of the, okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you for filling in.
Awesome, thank you.
We'll give them a good report.
There you go.
Evening.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the first time you'll see this. This is not looking for an approval of this capital project budget items, but it's just to talk about things that we're looking at possibly for the next school year. So some of it includes roof restorations. I met with our roofing consultant and we looked at where things are age-wise and when we look at the roofing, we have like a 5-year and a 10-year projections on where we're at. And we're looking at areas where are we having issues, those kind of things. Fritz Elementary, for example, all the areas that are listed there, it sounds like there's a lot, well, some of them are rather large areas, but then there's a few smaller pieces, just the way the building was added onto. So when we did the work in 2004, there was a 6 classroom addition added onto the one wing. There was a main entrance. We changed that, created an actual main entrance to the building. We also added on what is the music rooms and the gymnasium. So it pretty much entails all of that work. So that roof has not been touched since it was installed. Also at Fritz, the fire alarm system is aged out to the point that I can no longer get parts for it. So we definitely, that's like one of these we need to do kind of things, so we can make sure that it's working, it's not failing, but I want to be proactive on that. Also then at the middle school, this one has to do with the 6th grade classrooms on the ground floor level. It was designed to have a outlet and data system that was underneath the carpet. They were creating some tripping hazards, so we made the decision to remove those. We went to a different system on the upper 2 floors, but at this point, the concrete's already poured. It's a little too late to fix the situation. So we developed and came up with a solution of doing some cord reels in those 6th grade classrooms. It gives them flexibility. So I also did the cord reels for the data ports. By doing those, I stole a data port from the floor above. So to give them that access back, it was one of these things to get it done so they had it for the start of school and all that. So this is a solution to give the upper floor the data ports back and then to add those additional data ports on the lower level. So Moving on to the high school, again, roof restorations included in here as well. It would be if we're looking at the building right across, it would be the wing to the right or the one that's on the horseshoe portion of the loop. It would be that entire roof area, and then there's a smaller roof area that's got some wet insulation that needs replaced. Next item is our drive-it or stucco finish. As you know, past few years, we've updated the look of the building and also corrected, an aging system there. So we've done the front of the building, the 2 classroom wings. Now next year, we were planning on doing the courtyard area. So that's 2-story. If you would look at the pricing of this compared to last year, it's a little bit more in perspective, but it's a lot more labor intensive because they have to manhandle all the scaffolding in and set it up, and they can't do it off of mechanical lifts and those kind of things, so. So far, nobody's come up with a successful sky hook that I found, so. Also added in some interior, exterior paint touch-up. That's kind of an ongoing thing. I typically put that in on the high school yearly as a maintenance item, capital project. Also looking to replace the intercom system head end, again, age system installed back in 2005, 2006. We look at this as being a safety concern. We're working with the contractor to make sure that all the speakers are working and that they're working at a volume level. But when I had him out to look at the system, it's kind of the difference between analog and digital. We're kind of back in the analog phase with that system. So it's not replacing the speakers or any of the wiring. It's just the, like on your home stereo, you're just replacing that head end piece of it, so. Next one is repairs to the existing concrete panels. If you know the real gym at all, it has they call it a precast double T. They're vertical panels. They're not structural. You would think with the way that was built, they were meant to be at a structural nature, but they're more of a skin to the building, like you would put brick veneer or block veneer on. But they're showing signs of rebar it being exposed. There's reinforcing it's being exposed. There's some areas where there's rust occurring. So met with a contractor who came out, he looked at it, made some evaluations, and also provided me with a cost on what it would take to correct all that rust, grind it out, repair it, fill that back in, and then coat the entire thing. So with a waterproofing, so we wouldn't have this in there down the road in the future. Next line item is a storage room. If you're on the back side of the building on the stadium side, there's a large L-shaped porch back there that kind of collects things. It collects metal from the tech shops. It collects band items that they use during football games. It collects other things. And thought that would be an ideal area that we could enclose that area and create some storage spaces that tech could utilize, could secure their items. Grounds department could also secure some things in there, and we could even secure some of the athletic items in there, like the time clocks that are used for the football games. They could be stored in there out of the weather and when in the off seasons then. So, next one is the real gym floor replacement. I just recently had a contractor in to correct what Dana probably a dozen or more spots where the floor has cracked or broken or peeled up, or areas that were just causing a safety issue. But if you see in that gym floor, it's the boards are shrinking to the point where we have large cracks forming between the boards as you go across. And I've had 2 companies in to look at it, and they're both saying the same thing, that it's kind of at its end of life. So I know we refinished the floor in 2018. I don't have history if it was refinished between the late 70s and when I redid the floor. There are no records that I found. So it was installed when the real gym was done. The bleachers were put in 2014. So those would stay. They just have to remove them, pull the boards up, replace the boards beneath them, and then push those back in place. So, and then completely reinstall a new floor in that space. So a little bit of a sticker shock on that one when I saw it, but it's one of those that space is used heavily and not quite 365 days, but it is used, almost most days of the year. Had requests to look at the sound systems for the fitness center and the wrestling room. Both of those systems, again, were installed in that 04, 05 timeframe. The speakers are fine, there's no issues with them. This is more, again, the head end. These still have tape decks in them. So to give you a little bit of a concept, I think most of the kids probably look at them and what's that, Next on the list was a tennis court restoration. We're getting a lot of cracking in the paving on the tennis courts. These tennis courts were installed back when the last high school project was done in that 04 to 06 timeframe. We did recoat them back in 18. Yeah, that was 18 as well. But we're getting some major cracking. We're getting some heaving at like the anchor points of where the center part of the net is. So this would correct all of that and then recoat them as well. JV baseball field backstop replacement, just to the point where it's more than served its lifespan. The wire fencing is rusted, and we even found one of the posts is cracked and not repairable. I was requested to look at lighting the 2 additional turf fields that we added as part of the middle school project. So one option brings them to a 30-foot candle level. So, and then the other option is take them to a 50-foot candle. The stadium is currently at a 50-foot candle. The vendor, it's Musco Lighting, these would be LED lights. He said you would be fine at a 30-foot candle for those 2 fields. So, next line item under grounds is a under fence mow strip. So we have close to 7,000 lineal feet of fencing around fields, stadium, baseball, you name it, that's a lot of fence. And that's a lot of string trimming. So this is actually a piece that you put underneath the fence line, goes in between the posts, and it eliminates the need to, you can mow right up to it. So I don't have to do 7,000 lineal feet of string trimming. So, and they have it in varying widths. The other area that would be ideal is where we have these nets between the fields. We have these ball nets to keep the balls going from one game onto the other. And that net gets kind of droopy down at the bottom, and it kind of covers more than an easy area, and it's difficult to mow up against them or even string trim because it's a net. So last thing you want to do is get caught in the mower or the string trimmer. So I put in there the purchase of a new student van, and we replaced 2 of them last year due to failures of the existing vans that were beyond their service to us. They had both had over 300,000 miles, and they were to the point that it made no sense fiscally to do so. I did have one of those budgeted. The other one, we shook the tree a little bit, I guess, and came up with enough to cover it. But those are out here in the parking lot, if you've ever seen them, two nice, large white vans. The difficulty is gonna be moving forward is can we get one? Because some of the manufacturers are no longer producing a passenger van. They're going through outfitters and other places, so, even talking to our busing company, they're having difficulty getting a hold of vans. If you get work vans all day long, but with windows and seats, that causes a whole different challenge. And we can only have no more than 10 seats in them. Normally, the passenger vans can seat up to 15, so they have to remove seats and do some other things. So this may be looking at possibly a used van or some alternatives to that, so. Next item is something that would assist our grounds department year-round. We found with the, it's a little bit of a sticker shock there on that, but it's more than just the machine itself. It's a machine plus a bunch of attachments to it. We've added a lot of sidewalk, we've got a lot of paving. We're getting in materials and things for the wood shops and other areas that our equipment on site cannot actually lift off of trucks to unload. So we don't have the lifting capacity. So this would be a very versatile piece of equipment that we could utilize. We could put a snow blower on it or a broom or a snow blade or just multiple things. We could put forks on it and lift off these, lumber deliveries when they show up for wood tech. And then the last item is some accessories for the plow truck that just arrived after a year. So that was exciting news last week when it got the phone calls like the truck's ready. So it's horrible when the truck's been in the county for a few months and we can't have it because there's a recall. So and when I was first told that, they were told by the factory that the parts may not show up until the first quarter of 24. So something all fell in line and stars aligned, moons aligned, whatever. So we now have additional plow truck in our possession. So when we purchased it, we really didn't look at, do we want toolboxes on it? Do we want a salt spreader? We have 2 trucks with salt spreaders, so this would be to add, possibly a ladder rack or some toolboxes, just to outfit it appropriately for the person that'll be using it, so. And then the way I broke it down with the totals of each, I did it one with the option 1 turf field lighting and the option 2 turf field lighting, so the 30-foot candle or the 50-foot candle, so. Any questions besides sticker shock? So I think we needed smelling salts for Adele a couple times.
We did refinish the grill, Jim, at least once before, because I remember it was done on a very hot summer. We were afraid it wasn't going to set in time.
And that must be something with history with that space, because we had the same problem in 18. Yeah. That was the hot, humid summer, and it took forever for it to cure.
Well, I prefer that you not do it this summer.
Okay.
I don't need a hot, humid summer.
No, that we don't. So.
Any questions or concerns on any of these issues? I mean, that's not to say, this is an approval of them all, it's just to see what's coming down the pipe. If not,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you much.
So what Ken did,
Mrs. Hunsinger,
what Ken didn't
student
show in
enrollment.
his budget was the line item for smelling salts for me. When I first opened up that PowerPoint, I'm like, $3.5 million. And that's just the capital items.
Well,
So,
That's
hello,
where we
hello,
all
hello.
have sharp pencils.
Oh, yeah, I've got a pencil sharpener, lots of them. Got to start working on the budget process. So speaking of budgets, as you know, we've been working on the process, and one of the things we look at every year with the budget is student enrollment projections. We do that, it's a nice tool to have, but we do that so that we can identify any trends and that can help us plan better for the budget as we work through that process. One of the the areas that we start with is looking at the birth rates for Conestoga Valley School District. And if you look here, you can see that over the past 10, 15 years or so, the average number of births per year is about 500. Of course, there's some fluctuations. I think it was back in 2017 that there was, or 2019, where there was this 50 less births than average. So, and we see that as it rolls through all the different grades. So on this slide, this is the elementary enrollment by grade. And I want to point something out. I saw it just like 20 minutes before the board meeting. If you look under the 23-24 year, the pre-K number for Fritz is 158. It should be 18 students. I got just tapped the 5 and got in there. So we don't have 158. I don't know if Jill's going to. She'd be happy, yep, I know that. But this is just a good breakdown to have by building by grade. So again, we can try to trend things out and look at it. So for the 23-24 year, with correction of that number for Fritz, our total enrollment would be 1,794, which is right in line with the 22-23 year for elementaries. And then on the next slide is our enrollment by grade and building for secondary. And again, the total enrollment for secondary is in 22-23, 2,268 versus 2,193. So that's not that significantly different. Now, on this next slide, I provide you with a 3-year of actual data taken on submissions to PDE on October 1st of each year. And for 2021-22 and 22-23, those enrollment numbers are almost identical, but the decreases in the current year, October 1 snapshot. So we're going to watch that. We don't know if it's an anomaly. We don't know if there was a different mapping of some of the numbers from going from the old student information system to the new one, Power School. So if we can fine tune that, we'll certainly give you an update on it. But PDE also provides us with, provides all school districts with enrollment projections. So for the next 3 years, they're projecting that there's going to be some slight decreases in our overall enrollment. Some of the items that can also affect our enrollment, because the numbers that I just showed you in previous slides were actually students that we're educating, full-time CTC students, and also our CVVA full-time students. Those are numbers, those are included in the previous numbers, but these are other areas that we do not include in those October 1 snapshots. And you can see with the homeschooling, there's been some fluctuations in that area. Number of students that are going to non-public schools, that increased this year. And then our outside cyber charter schools. In 21-22, we had 89 students enrolled in the outside cyber schools. And then that number has decreased down to about the mid-70s right now. So I want to just kind of drill down a little bit more with the outside cyber charter schools. If you look in about 2014-15, we were averaging again about mid-70s number of students being enrolled. And then Dr. Mann did, as you know, a lot of work developing CVVA and trying to work with families and bring them back into our program. And if you look in 2017-18, we had 34 students enrolled in the outside cyber charter schools. And then COVID happened, and a lot of students ended up enrolling in the outside cyber charter schools, and we're starting to see some of those numbers go down, whether they're coming back here or maybe aging out and graduating out of the cyber program. But Don and Mel Upton are still working, trying to bring some of those numbers down. And then with the cyber charter tuition rate, here's a history of it, how it just continues to increase, especially the special education cost. And our regular ed cost tuition is $12,000. And I know we talk about this frequently, but the cyber charter school tuition calculation is different, or the formula is the same for each district, but it depends on each district's cost. So you can be sending a student from CV to one of the outside cyber charter schools, and there could be a student from Manheim Township going, and those districts are paying two different amounts. So just, and then when you multiply those together, you can see that back in 2016-17, when the cyber enrollment was one of the lower years, our tuition cost was only $417,000. And in the last 2 years, we've been paying almost $1.3 million per year. So it's nice to start seeing that number come down slightly. We're projecting we're probably going to be at $900 to $1.1 million this year, but still hoping to get those numbers down. And we work with the townships and stay in communication with them, looking at any upcoming residential plans for apartments or single dwelling houses or other neighborhoods. So, because that can certainly also affect our enrollment over time. So that's student enrollment numbers and just a quick snapshot of it. Any questions for you? Nope.
When our students switch to homeschool or whatever, do we ever know why?
I don't know, Don, would you?
Sometimes.
Sometimes? I don't know if Don knows.
I mean, enough that we
Any
know
surveys on
that
that?
there's a trend.
Yeah, I don't-
Homeschool, there's no obligation for them to disclose why they would be going. But
Well,
sometimes they do, and sometimes we don't.
Yeah. I didn't know if we have any sense as to what motivates some of these numbers.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a variety of reasons. I mean, it's it's just that, meeting the needs of the family at that time, they just, this is what they wanted for their child.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a whole host.
I know some of the reasons that some of them have, but I'm sure it wouldn't cover everybody. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Item D is the policy review. I think with the ones that are being removed, there's about 34 of them. You have a month to go over them, and you have the guidance of PSBA's information sheet. What you don't have, which bothers me to no end, is when it tells us we've deleted, we don't know what they deleted. We don't know if it was unnecessary. They do tell us if it went into administrative, directives, but we don't get a chance to say, well, we'd like to keep it. And that's what makes every school district different, and there's no way to tell what they took out. And I'm not quite sure how to address that. I spoke with Davelin Smeltzer this weekend, but did not have time to really get into it. But meanwhile, read them if you have any questions. I've gone through them and come up with several questions. Who do we direct those questions to?
You can direct them to either myself or Adele. I will share that with the 600 policies, because they're all finance, they were reviewed by Adele and myself and Anthony, and Mark came in as the board committee. So when we did our review as the policy committee, we do compare them to what was eliminated before. So if we saw something that stood out, we may have caught it. If there was language that we didn't like the PSBA put that we thought wasn't appropriate with what our practice was here, but it was still within the bounds of the law, we didn't necessarily just wholesale pass on all the policies the PSBA was recommended. So there are some changes that we've recommended in there as well. So feel free to reach out to myself or Adele on any of those.
Well, it's good to know that somebody was paying attention to what's been deleted.
And there are some policies too that we have to circle back with that are not included on that list. For example, our investment policy, I wanted to get some clarification on that language, because we do not opt into that Act 10 of 2016 where we can invest in other types of investments outside of what PDE originally has stated. And then there's also another policy that is not included in that group that addresses not just fund balance, but also debt management. PSBA was not including any language anywhere about debt management, which I think is very important. So we'll bring those back to you next month, and you'll see those.
Yeah, I noticed several said they don't do this, so we should, look at it. The other thing also was, I did notice that in their cross-reference page and our list, there's some missing ones. So, I'll be in touch.
Yes.
Anyone else have any questions or concerned about those? Just don't call me about it, because I don't have any of the answers on this. The next is the appointment of board liaisons. You all have that list. You got my email begging you to sign up for something. I did get some of you got in touch with me. Has anyone looked at these and come up with something that they felt interested in, or are we still deciding? I will tell you that the ones that are listed under Vice President's policies, Mr. Gensel will be, on with that because some of that is work that he started last year. Anyone have an assignment they want to let me know about now?
Phil Hurst emailed and said that he would be on the corporate sponsorship with Mike.
Okay. We're starting to work our way through these. We always approve these every year, but actually they're appointments and they don't need to be approved by the board, but I like it to be. So please give that some consideration. The ones that are left really aren't the heavy lifts.
Can I ask a question about the comprehensive planning that Dr. Mann does?
Yes, Dr. Mann.
What is
Comprehensive planning.
the comprehensive planning, what is the time requirement, or what does that look like for the board member to support you in that?
Yeah, we have 4 meetings scheduled throughout the year for that committee, and they're all virtual. Right, so we did that so it'd be more convenient for the community members.
Is that usually during the day or during the evenings, or?
4 to 5:30, so there's 2 in January, 1 in February, and then 1 in March, so it's
Just give me those months again.
The comp plan.
Give me those months again.
2 in January, 1 in February, 1 in March. 4 to 5:30 Zoom. Dr. Hartman will be sending out that email as soon as we get final membership.
Yeah, I think I had sent an email to the board saying a lot of the detail is the teacher's work.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not that you're involved in that entire project, so. Any other questions about any of those? Well, you know how to get in touch with me, right? Mrs. Schaefer, are you prepared to explain this contract?
I am. So despite our best efforts, we were not able to replace our 2 school psychologist openings. I guess I should start by saying there are currently at least 9 openings in Lancaster County for school psychologists. So that is a high need position across this county and in other counties as well. And it is there are not many school psychologists out there. So what we needed to do is we needed to look at alternative options. And so what we came up with is we looked at a virtual school psych option, which they were able to staff right away. So there are school psychs that are available immediately through these virtual platforms. And so we engaged a conversation with Solient Health, who uses a company called Voco Vision to staff school psychologists. We met with them. We had our school psych department chair participate in this in a conversation on what this would look like to have school psych services in a virtual format to be able to do assessment in a way that we've never done before. It's a company that has been doing virtual school psych for a number of years, and the two psychologists that we interviewed have been doing this also for a number of years. They're Pennsylvania school certified. They have worked in schools, in brick and mortar schools, but both people have decided to go to the virtual route. We interviewed 6 psychologists, so there were a number of psychologists out there to be interviewed, but we did choose 2 that met with what we were looking for, which is to basically do everything that our on-site school psychologists do. So we're looking at psychologists that do our 504 evaluations, that do our evaluations, that do our reevaluations, that do our threat assessments, that do our behavior manifestations, that do everything that our on-site psychologists do. So Soliant is able to staff 2 psychologists. We have 1 for the middle school and we have 1 for the high school. And pending your approval, they could start tomorrow. Our 2 psychologists that will be leaving the school district will be, I believe, ending their time here at the end of the week. So we could have about a week overlap to be able to get some shadowing and some experience together to work with the team, and then they would be able to move right into testing and working with the team virtually. The company provides a tech center, is what they call it, and they send us big screens, computers, document cameras, everything that basically when you go into the office with the individual to test, the psychologist is virtual and the student is participating that way. We're also using SOS to staff this as well because they are going to be facilitating and supervising in that room where that student is. Or if there's a classroom observation, that SOS facilitator will go and set the camera up so they're able to be able to have observations supervised. So we've tried to think of all the things that would make this work for us, knowing that we cannot move forward with what we normally do, which is we normally can hire and staff our school psychologist positions with a person that's here. So our intent is that we're not going to continue this.
Yeah.
Our intent is that we're going to hire for a school psychologist. So these contracts end on June 14th for both of these people.
My question is, at the end of the day, or the end of the school year, does this cost more or less or close to the same? Because we can control their hours. When there isn't as much work, we're not paying them. So does that help level out the costs now?
No. All the companies that provide this require a 37.5 hour work week, no matter what. So we have to staff this the entire time and make sure that they are working the entire time, which we can do. But it's not a situation in which we're just giving them an evaluation to do and they bill hours for it. So it is a contracted position. It costs more than what we would normally provide. So it's a definite increased cost
I
for us.
would assume that even if the costs were the same, you prefer to have them our employee.
Without ever experiencing this, my gut feeling is, yes, I would always prefer to have someone on site, but I could be surprised. This may work in a way that we haven't
I notice
expected
they
before.
give themselves a little out saying they will take reasonable effort to provide them.
Yes.
They too understand that it's difficult.
Did you, have you spoken to any other districts that use them?
Yes, not locally,
Good.
but I spoke to a friend in State College that used the service.
So my other question would be, because some of the referrals that come through have the potential to get litigious. So are you going to be monitoring who gets what as far as referrals, as far as testing?
They would be assigned what our current school psychologists are doing. So we have a middle school virtual and a high school virtual. We've gone through a vetting process with Sweet Stevens, and the virtual model holds up. There is an entire virtual platform for assessment now that holds up. It holds up in both the speech pathology evaluation world and also the school psych evaluation world. So there has not been a contested piece to this at this point. So we don't plan on changing the choice of the evaluator, depending on whether they're virtual or in-house.
Any other questions?
Just one additional one. When you have, when they're involved with the 504 process and stuff like that, are there any issues with them being done in June if things continue? I'm just not familiar with how that piece works, whereas like before, you have this, that's a part of that team for so long. Are there any issues with stuff ending directly and then it being hopefully picked up by somebody else then if we have teachers?
We haven't had a summer testing program here, at least since I've been here. So since 2019, we haven't had school psych testing in the summer.
Gotcha, it all starts
It
at the
just
beginning of the
begins
school year, okay.
at the very beginning of the school year again.
If there are no other questions, I will take a motion to approve this contract.
I actually have one. Now, if we decide to continue this after June, can we easily renew their contracts in June?
If they're still available.
If they're still available.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Kapka?
Aye.
Mr. Gensel?
Aye.
Mr. Talley?
Aye.
Mr. Evie?
Aye.
Dr. Martin?
Aye.
Mrs. Fisher?
Aye.
Mrs. Craw?
Thank you.
Thank
Hope
you.
this works out well.
Get out of the box.
Dr. Mann, welcome back again. This time we're under your own steam, right?
Hello again. Those of you that were on the board, you may remember earlier in the fall I had mentioned this program. Navigate 360 is the program we're using for our incident management within the district, and we're building that out. One of the features that they have is a visitor sign-in program. We currently use Schoolgate Guardian, and it's been fine, but that system's starting to get older, and the one at the middle school isn't working the way it should. And what I'd like to do is pilot this with the middle school to see how it functions before we look at migrating maybe the rest of the buildings over to something like this. I'm told it should be a seamless process, but I want to see it first. And so what I'd like to, now this says draft, and I'm trying to get the gentleman, when he sent this to me, he had the terms wrong. The term would start like January. My goal is to start at January at the middle school, pilot it from there, and then make a decision, bring it back to you and say, it didn't work, or this is pretty good, and we want to then move the rest of the buildings over to it.
This would create a badge where you actually have the person's picture on it,
Yeah.
rather than having just write a name on a blank.
Right. And we have that Schoolgate Guardian,
Yeah.
is bad and all that, also does a background check and so forth. The other thing is with this system, in using this, it ties into our incident management system then, and so the visitors are all recorded in the system itself. So.
Well, I noticed it was called an initial investment because it's a pilot. What would the cost be if we then went for it?
Well, this would be
That's it,
that's it,
and that's per year,
per year, yeah,
per building,
per building.
okay.
Yeah, once you have the hardware, and in fact, some of the hardware that we have with Schoolgate Guardian, I can use, so which is nice.
Any questions or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion to approve, no, are we going to be able to get this for January?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes.
Do you wanna get it fixed and put it on consent, or do you wanna put it down?
I could have it for consent, that's fine. The gentleman with Schoolgate Guardian had sent it through Adobe Sign, and it went into my junk mail. I just found it as we were sitting back there. Oh shoot, there it is. So
Is there a contract to follow? Oh, then perhaps, I don't know if we need to wait, if we need a vote to move forward. What's our best bet here?
I think if we wanna start the pilot in January, approval would be best.
Do you want to approve tonight?
Yeah,
Okay,
that would be my
That's probably
preference. I
best.
think we
Yeah,
can start.
that's true.
that's fine.
If there's no concerns over the fact that the posted one here says draft
Yeah.
on it.
Well, plus the fact that we're approving an amount, so that can't
Right.
change. If there's any change in that,
They
in
have to
the
come back for
final
approval,
thing, they
right.
have to come back to us.
So I make a motion to approve the contract as presented.
Second. Sorry,
Roll
who's
call
the
vote,
second?
please.
Bring it back in. Mr. Talley.
Aye.
Mr. Gensel.
Aye.
Mr. Eby.
Aye.
Dr. Martin.
Aye.
Mrs. Fisher.
Aye.
Mrs. Kafka.
Aye.
Mrs. Groff.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. Board reports. You have a copy of the IU report as usual. I did my, I'll add a little bit here, I did my required training this weekend, folks, so I'm done already. That felt good, and I will tell you this, there is a huge difference between sitting in front of a computer and taking a course and being in a room where you can ask questions as they go, and better than that, the discussion that it generated between all the board members in the room was worth the time all by itself. Unlike my concerns from the last time, PSBA did an excellent job with it this year. So I would hope that their online one would be better also, but this one was very well done. The only thing I wanted to add to this report was I picked up today that Title IX is now scheduled to be released in March. So we'll see what they have to say. My guess is that the way we crafted our policy will be pretty safe. And we're still able to maintain our integrity and the input from kids. So I think we'll be okay, but it's finally coming through in March. And the other thing was something about a roof leak in the Capitol closing down the house so that if they don't get the last of the budget done, it may sit there for a month or two, which is, to me, not acceptable. But that's the way it is. I do not have a report from the Academy or the IU because they haven't met yet this month. So meanwhile, and of course we don't have Mr. Hurst here for the CTC, they were reorganizing tonight. But we do have Mr. Kendall. Don't we?
Did we skip over some stuff?
What did I miss? Oh, yes, we
Information
did.
agenda.
I'll go back.
Okay.
I'll go back. Mr. Kendall, he'll be glad to get this over early anyhow.
So just a quick report on the Smoketown Elementary School. The project right now is overall is 94% complete. The big items that are happening right now are the finishes. So the ceiling work throughout the building is 75%. The ceiling tile, that is, the case work's at 80%. Kitchen equipment's in at 75%. Installation. One of the big things is that the emergency generator got set last Friday. Data racks, data cabling is 85%. And I think there were some people to walk through tonight, did they not? So you got a good view of what was going on there. Kitchen floorings, again, large portion of it's completed. And they're working on final cleaning some areas. So, any questions on
Questions,
that?
concerns?
You start thinking about a move-in plan? So we're not.
You asking me?
No, I'm asking Dr. Hartman.
We are, yes.
Plan.
There's
So
plans
we're
are
not
underway.
doing it over a weekend type thing, just make it a little bit more smoother this time. Would be nice.
We're in good shape.
Okay.
Any other questions or concerns? Thank you. Yeah, you're right, I did skip over, mostly because we usually have no concerns. Finance and operations report or the curriculum and instruction report, they're usually comprehensive and self-explanatory. Anyone have any concerns about those? Okay, and do we have reports from anyone else that was on the committee? If not, is there anyone from the public that would like to address the board on any topic of your choice, other than football? If not, we'll go to board comments, and I have one that really caught my eye. I didn't have an IU report, but if I had had one, I'd have bragged that the third year in a row, our local IU won one of the best places to work in Lancaster County for 3 straight years. So my question is, why aren't we on that list? Because I think we're a great place to work. I don't know if it's because our employees just wouldn't bother filling out the form, or they filled it out and didn't do well enough. I'm not sure which it is, but I'd love to know. And just for my own curiosity, this year the newspaper actually listed what were the most popular benefits, and the entire list of the questions they asked. I'm assuming they didn't pull this out of a hat. So I think it's an interesting list of questions for us to think about when we talk about retaining and diversity and relationships. So I will share that with anyone that would like to see what it looks like. But I also wanted to mention that we have the dates coming up on our agenda, but the IU does do its biannual new board members orientation. Some of the people that go that are not new board members, they just sort of want a refresher. If you came on the board and only had 2 years, you know, it's the same thing. It's January, I think the 30th. 31st? January 31st. It's dinner, a presentation, and a very open panel discussion. So if you're interested in that, I think you would have to register through the board secretary. But give that some thought.
Both new directors are going already, they're already registered.
Oh, okay. Did we ask them or did we just register them?
No, I asked them.
Oh,
They said
okay.
yes.
Because I'd be perfectly willing just to register them.
One note with the date for January 8, just know that we're gonna take a group photo that night of the school board, so come prepared for a group photo for the website and yearbook, I believe.
That means no tank tops.
Dang.
Yes, no.
Sorry, Mark.
Doesn't mean I can't wear athletic
Do something with
shorts.
your hair.
I can wear shorts and flip flops, I'm standing behind somebody, right?
That's true.
Yeah, if you're so inclined to do that. We'll turn the air conditioning on now. Blow you out of here. I think all the other dates we're familiar with, there's nothing unusual in them. Any issues before we adjourn? If not, then I will adjourn to executive sessions for legal